Hello guys.
Hello.
Nice to see you again. We're going to be talking about listening in communication, and this was actually brought about from a comment we got from one of our subscribers.
Absolutely.
And so listening, it's all about listening in communication in a marriage, and there are a few things, few issues, few pointers we're going to be briefly mentioning and discussing in today's series, isn't it, Ike?
Well, that's right. Yes, we really appreciate the feedback we're getting, and that's really positive. As we've said in the past, this whole series is all about helping us to understand how we can be better at the marriage business. We will be talking about listening. So, listening. What do we do with that? How do you listen?
Well, one of the beauty about marriage is when spouses can actually listen to each other. And one of the problems in a marriage, I'd say, is when spouses don't listen to each other, because that can create a lot of havoc. For example, I know that in the past we talk, and I would say to you sometimes, "Don't interrupt me, I'm still talking." And that is one of the features, I would say, about listening. You know, you've got to be able to be focused, allow the spouse who's speaking to finish before you interrupt or give your own opinion about that particular topic.
That's right. We've got to be able to have a proper dialogue, and in communication, you may be speaking, but you've also got to be listening. And I believe, as Linda said, when we get into the area of trying to work out what we're doing, trying to understand what our plans are, it's important to be able to understand where the other person is coming from, and the only way that can happen is by listening. I think one of the big areas of listening is being able to focus, as Linda said, focus and not get distracted. You know, understand where the point you're trying to make, and don't try and change direction. Obviously, you can expand, you can try and work on the topic to get more aspects to it or more facets to the argument, but it's important not to try and change track.
And when you're listening, I would assume that spouses also need to keep an open mind. Don't become judgmental. Don't have your own agenda. Don't try to come to a conclusion for that person. And you've got to make that eye contact, because sometimes when you have the eye contact, you're almost empathizing with the person, aren't you?
Well, yes, eye contact is important. You can pick up on non-verbal cues. You can understand what they are really saying. You can get an insight into the emotions behind the perspective and the point they're trying to put across. And that's why it's important to be able to listen, and your spouse needs to know that you're listening as well. And that's where the empathy comes in. Your spouse needs to know, okay, he understands where I'm coming from. He has actually taken on board what I've said, and that's powerful.
There is something I always like you to do when I've spoken about something and I know you've listened, is giving a feedback.
Absolutely.
Feedback is so important in a sense that it's almost like I'm, in my mind, in my own little world, I am comfortable and I'm happy because you are almost reiterating and saying to me, well, I hear you're saying, I know you're saying, I can understand what it is you're saying. So for a wife, I know that that's quite important, and I'm sure it's the same thing with husbands when their wives listen to them and they give that feedback to So that's something we've got to keep practicing.
Absolutely. Well, feedback is really important. I think when it comes to ideas being put across, your spouse wants to know that you've considered the topic, that you've thought about it. And most spouses want you to not just rubber stamp what they're saying, but they want you to provide some input. They want you to bring some other innovation or develop the argument and say, okay, this is what you've said and I've heard it and that's really good, but let's take it to the next step. And when as a couple we're able to do that, then you discover that you're able to really, face your challenges together, knowing that you're a team.
Clarification is another thing which you do well, but it's important to say to one, oh yes, are you trying to, can I clarify? But in the heat of the moment, people sometimes feel, well, why are you asking me, why are you repeating yourself? But it is important to actually clarify things so we don't make mistakes. And finally, there was something you said to me before we started. You said a couple of things actually, and I'd like you to just, explain just slightly about those things. Asking God for wisdom and let love by the motivation. What does that mean? What are those 2 points?
Well, essentially, you've got to, as a husband, as a wife, you've got to make sure that you are giving the best response that you can at any point in time. And we've all been in situations where something is put in front of us and we just say, okay, this is, let's just, get out. I don't really want to talk about this, so I'm just going to agree. No, but you want to give the best response. And God tells us that He gives us wisdom, He gives us insight, He gives us understanding. So at any stage of the process, we can ask for wisdom and say, God, this has come through. What should I do? How can I really provide an answer that's going to make Linda feel that I've thought about this and this is important to me because it's important to her? And I think that's really powerful. At the end of the day, if we've got love and that concern, that interest of our best interest of our spouse at the back of our mind in whatever we're doing, then we will find that we're able to really give an answer that makes things move forward. And I think that's powerful.
So love is very important, even when we listen, isn't it?
Very, very important.
So folks, let's get better with our listening. Listening is just so important. Let love show when we listen and good communication. So until next time, from Ike and Linda,
It's goodbye.